Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the ultimate cheat code for passing your exam. We're going to take a rapid, comprehensive run-through of all 50 PMP mindset principles you absolutely need to crush it. Okay, let's dive into this. To avoid total cognitive overload with 50 different principles, we've structured them into 5 logical, highly focused thematic pillars: stakeholders and servant leadership, navigating changes and problems, agile delivery and quality, estimates, risk and procurement, and finally, closing and continuous improvement. This is going to give you the exact framework you need to nail those scenario-based questions. All right, pillar number 1, stakeholders and servant leadership. Managing the people, not just the process. We're starting here because, let's face it, people are the absolute heart of any project. If you don't manage the people right, the process doesn't even matter. Let's hit these first 5 principles rapid fire. Identifying stakeholders? Yeah, that's not just a one-time thing at the kickoff meeting. Think about it. Say Mary from accounting gets fired and Jane steps in. Boom, Jane is a brand new stakeholder with completely different needs. Identification literally never stops. You've got to engage these folks regularly using varied customized channels. And hey, use your emotional intelligence, right? If someone's acting out in a meeting, you address it privately, one-on-one. Don't embarrass them. Make sure to document all impacted individuals, even the ones negatively impacted. And finally, never dismiss a customer request right out of the gate. Even if it sounds impossible, you have to evaluate it first. And this brilliantly illustrates the real core of our mindset: servant leadership. Fetch food and water. Your job is to fetch food and water. You are not a dictator. You're there to shield the team from outside interruptions and basically spoon-feed them the exact tools and resources they need to get the job done. Now, to truly empower that team, you're going to want to follow these next 8 principles. First, act as an integrator, pulling all the pieces of the project together. When it comes to the actual work, let the team break it down and estimate the timing. They're the subject matter experts, not you. You are the facilitator. You also really need to understand what makes your team tick to keep performance high. And here's a massive rule for the exam: always, always be ethical. If a project breaks the law, stop it immediately. Ethics always trump project progress, no exceptions. You also want to create a safe space for constructive disagreement, actively protect your team from task overload and mandatory overtime, and use peer programming to build up their skills internally. That brings us right to pillar number 2, navigating changes and problems. Because, well, nothing ever goes exactly to plan. Handling those unexpected deviations is exactly where a project manager earns their keep. So, the crucial point here is understanding the absolute dichotomy between our methodologies. In a traditional waterfall mindset, you follow the plan rigidly, period. Any scope alterations require a formal change request that has to be heavily assessed. But in an agile mindset, you welcome change. The product owner exclusively takes those new requests and prioritizes them directly right into the product backlog. When it comes to assessing and planning, you've got to be methodical. All changes must be fully assessed across every single knowledge area: scope, time, cost, risk, before you ever even think about approving them. Never act without a plan. Look, if you walk in on a Monday morning and find out the backup files are totally corrupted, you don't just start taking random actions, right? You check your management plans, consult the team experts, and figure out a plan that actually delivers the highest value to the overall project objectives. Now, when you're resolving conflicts, the absolutely crucial first step is to understand the root cause before you try to fix it. If an issue pops up, log it immediately, and then go check your risk register to see if you already plan a response for it. Makes sense, right? If you're confused by some highly technical problem, refer to your subject matter experts, your lessons learned register, or your OPAs, your organizational process assets. Always investigate before acting. Oh, and here is a golden rule for the exam: resolve team issues at your level. Never, ever escalate team squabbles to a sponsor. Managing the team is literally your job. Moving right along, this brings us to our third pillar: agile delivery and quality. This one is all about iterating toward maximum customer value. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it fundamentally flips delivery on its head. Agile completely avoids that massive, risky, big bang release at the end of a project. Instead, it relies on the MVP, the minimum viable product, to get a functional release into the customer's hands early. This lets them get practical value right out of the gate, and it gives you immediate feedback to guide the next iteration. Keep things super visual, using information radiators too, so everyone knows exactly where the workflow stands at a glance. We really need to lock in these agile execution roles. Remember, the product owner exclusively manages the product backlog. As the PM, Hands off. You don't touch it. Also, you want to favor face-to-face communication and team co-location. Think high-tech, low-touch. Honestly, if your team is co-located, a physical whiteboard with sticky notes is often way better than some complex software. If your company is changing methodologies, roll it out gradually via pilots, not all at once. Require ongoing customer feedback, define your definition of done early on for quality control, and validate everything during regular sprint reviews. And always, always avoid silos. Foster that cross-functional collaboration like your project depends on it, because it does. Because Agile is iterative, continuous improvement isn't just nice to have, it's mandatory. You must never skip a retrospective. I mean it. Even if the sprint went perfectly and the team just wants to dive into the next one, skipping the retrospective is a cardinal sin on the exam. You have to implement those continuous feedback loops so you can apply lessons immediately. Okay, now we're tackling the heavily technical fourth pillar, estimates, risk, and procurement. Basically, managing the hard constraints of reality. Just notice the stark difference in estimation between the two methodologies here. The traditional mindset relies on bottom-up estimating, so aggregating the time of small tasks for really high accuracy, and it uses the critical path to figure out the schedule. And note this, if you're forced to choose, you fix budget issues before schedule issues. Agile, on the flip side, uses relative estimation, like story points in the Fibonacci sequence, based entirely on team velocity. In Agile, the time box is fixed, and it's the scope that gets adjusted. When we look at risk and vendor management, you got to remember that risk identification is a continuous, ongoing thing. And risk isn't just a negative threat, right? It's not just a blizzard delaying your project. It's also a positive opportunity, like maybe getting early access to a brand new API. Both negative and positive risks live right there in the risk register. And when you're dealing with vendors, always negotiate mutually beneficial, balanced contracts. Fair is fair. All right, we've made it to the fifth and final pillar, closing and continuous improvement. We're going to look at exactly how to wrap up a project, and I'll give you some specific killer strategies for taking the test. Let's see how this builds your closing strategy. First, you update your lessons learned continuously throughout the project, not just in a mad dash at the very end. And, listen to this carefully, you must formally close all projects, no exceptions. Even if a project gets abruptly terminated by the CEO, you can't just walk away and abandon it. Bills have to be paid, vendors need to be settled, and resources must be formally released. Also, continuously repeat the long-term vision to your team so they don't get lost in the weeds. And make sure you clarify exactly what success and failure look like from day one. Now, when you're staring down a really tricky multiple choice question, use the Be Nice principle. This is literally the ultimate cheat code for eliminating bad options. Don't fire someone as a first resort. Don't mandate overtime just to fix a broken schedule. Don't embarrass people in front of the team. You always look for the empathetic investigative action first. To completely wrap up our 50 principles, let's hit your final exam tactics. You only escalate to sponsors for authority limits and formal approvals, not to have them solve your daily problems. Avoid choices with absolute words like always or all. And seriously, never select an option where you just do nothing or delay an assessment. You need to carefully read every single question to find the true underlying problem and then take proactive action to investigate it. Wow. Okay, we've rapidly decoded the ultimate PMP mindset through these 50 principles. You now have the structured framework to navigate stakeholders, manage change, execute Agile, and close out successfully. So the only question remaining is, are you ready to apply the ultimate PMP mindset to your next challenge? Get out there and absolutely conquer that exam.